Hello everyone, festive felicitations to you all. Welcome back to True to Form, the brand new YouTube show for racing TV. On this week's edition then, we've got an anti-post preview of the Welsh National for you. We have two to note, albeit it was fairly modest fare in the last 7 days. The calm before the storm, before the festive storm, let's say. But we have got a couple of horses that won in contrasting style, and interesting to dig into the data that they managed to record. Tracker time, well, that's a family affair. A couple of horses that are linked and should pay to follow in your tracker in the upcoming weeks and months. We spotlight 3 races to tread carefully with. There was some performances that left a little bit to be desired on the data, but we'll dig into those a little bit more. And we've also got some Boxing Day knockouts for you. Hopefully 1 or 2 winning tips that will send you into the festive period in good form. Right, let's get on with the anti-post preview then. The Welsh National upcoming. So Friday's Coral Welsh National, true to form you might say, looks sure to be an attritional affair. The 2 horses I like, and I think it'll pay to their strengths, is Monbeg Genius, who's been well found in the market unfortunately, but he is a Chepstow specialist, 3 from 3 at the track, loves deep ground and shaped with a degree of promise on his comeback behind Fontaine Collonges at Haydock. Thought that was a really nice performance, good starting point for the season. I like the fact that he returns to the track within 34 days as well. Just doing a little bit of digging into his stats. When he returns between 26 and 34 days, he's won on 4 of those 6 occasions. He also finished 3rd in the Coral Trophy, so really nice stats to go into this race with. He's been well found in the market, as I say, but at 11-2, 5-1, I still think he's worth a bet. Second selection is I Will Do It, who's a bit of a friend of this race, having won it and also been 3rd in it last year. Sam Thomas has got a brilliant record with his first time out horses this season, had a number of winners, all at decent prices. I think the fact that this lad's been to Chepstow 3 times, won twice, finished 3rd on another occasion, he's just the type of horse that's going to go particularly well here. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of juice gone in the price, but I still think he's double figure odds, 10, 12-1. I think with the talented Callum Pritchard on board, I think Sam's made a smart move and identified a claimer that's helped going to reduce the burden. So a couple of selections then for the Welsh Nash on Friday, Monbeg Genius and I Will Do It. So the anti-post preview done, let's start looking back at the last 7 days and just a couple of performances that really caught the eye, starting with Ludlow on Wednesday, happy hunting ground for me in recent years. This is a Class 3 0 to 140 handicap over 3 miles, won by Titan Belts. This is a horse that really does love the South Shropshire area. He's 3 from 3 now at Ludlow, and I think there's a good reason for that. He won this off a mark of 131, Emma Lavell's Charge, well ridden by Rex Dingle. As I say, he's now unbeaten in 3 starts at Ludlow. Very interesting if you tap down into the race IQ data regarding this horse and just look at his last 5 runs, for instance. Now, excuse me reading these off because there are quite a lot of digits and I don't want to get them wrong, especially at my age. Last time when he won at Ludlow, he managed to lose 2.21 lengths during the race to his rivals, and his race IQ jump index was just 5.9. The time before, he was minus 307 and a jump index of 6.2. The time before that, he was minus 1166 lengths, that is, during the race, and a race index of 5.7. Time before that, 4 starts ago, minus 0.24, jump index of 7.2. And the time before that, he was nearly 12 lengths down on the rest of the field. So this is a horse who clearly does struggle a little bit with his jumping. But he's found a happy hunting ground in Ludlow where the slightly easier fences really play to his strengths. Now it shows you he's probably a very fair horse in his own right, but the trouble is when he goes to a bigger track or with bigger fences, he really does struggle to express himself, jump effectively and win races. So therefore we need to keep him on our side around Ludlow, obviously, where he's 3 from 3, and there is a chance that he'll be over bet going forward, but he's very much a horse that we need to keep on side. Tight right-handed tracks, horses that jump well around Ludlow don't necessarily jump brilliantly around other places, and this seems to be the case with Titan Belts. But he's 4 from 7 right-handed now. He's got a very good record in small fields, and the overall speed figure was extremely good. Now imagine if he could just get a bit of scope and just tidy up his jumping, he really would be a horse going forward and a force to be reckoned with. He jumped the last well enough, but the race was over by then. But this was run at a very strong pace, this race, even though there was only 5 or 6 runners in it, 5 finishers. They went a very healthy gallop. That contributed to the overall speed figure. And Titan Belts very much deserves to be kept on the right side of around the smaller minor tracks. Now that's going to be difficult when he gets reassessed here, but there are some decent handicaps at Ludlow for the remainder of the year, and that could just be, as I say, a very happy hunting ground for him going forward. The second chaser that I really liked was on Saturday, and this horse ran at Haydock and in making his debut for Nicky Richards, and it was Sunny Villa. He tackled a Class 3 2-mile handicap, and he used to be with Donald Hassett, this horse. Now, the first thing to note, I think, is his finishing speed percentage, which was 100.44%. That just went to illustrate how well Danny McMenamin judged the fractions in front. And then you look at the way that this horse jumped. Now, in contrast to Tight Now Belts, Sunny Villa gained 10.4 lengths throughout that race on his rivals and had a racing IQ jump index of 7.1. And if you stretch back through his last 4 or 5 performances, obviously for his previous connections as well, he gained 5.42 lengths, 10.9 lengths, 12.17 and 3.02, all with a very healthy jump index. So this is a horse that clearly really relishes his jumping. He finds it quite comfortable, quite easy, and he was given a beautiful ride from the front. He was very well back going into this race as well, which suggested that connections had him A1. The stable are obviously in great form at the moment. He did have an alternative engagement at Wetherby Boxing Day, but I don't think he's going to take that up. But he remains a horse to very much keep on side going forward, especially around the bigger tracks, in contrast to Tight Now Belts, who will do his winning around the gaff tracks and the easier jumping tracks. Sunny Villa, a horse very much to keep on side then. Well, they say Christmas is a time for families, and I have 2 horses for your trackers that are related to each other. They are half sisters, and we'll start off at Exeter on Thursday with Hard Dealt, a horse that was bought by Richard Johnson after she won a point-to-point. Richard paid $50,000 for her and wisely sent her to Henry Daly. And I thought she shaped with real promise in her UK rules debut over hurdles. She has, of course, won a point-to-point in Ireland. She then finished 6th of 7 in a Foss last bumper, but this was her first run in the UK over obstacles, and I thought she shaped with a good degree of promise to finish 4th behind 3 quite established hurdlers. The race itself was won by Cap Quest, who was very well backed on the day, and he beat a couple of very solid yardsticks at that level. And I thought that Hard Dealt showed a fair bit of promise. She just faded really from the home turn, was beaten 12, 14, 15 lengths, something like that. But she really does look the potential to go and win a mare's hurdle or indeed a mare's handicap a little bit further down the line in the spring once she is assessed. So she was one horse that really caught my eye, Hard Dealt, and I think she'll pay to follow in the weeks and months upcoming. The second horse is a little bit more of a rounded individual, if you like, the half-sister to Hard Dealt, Not Staying Long. Now, she shares the same dam, Princess Bella, as Hard Dealt, and she looks a little bit further on with her education now that she's back with Patrick Neville. She really defied a 215-day break to win by 20 lengths on her chasing debut off a mark of just 100. Now, that is a basement mark, but just for a chasing debut, it was quite exhilarating around Catterick, which can be a tricky track to jump. She gained 27 lengths on her field that day, and the race IQ jumping index was 8.9. The circuit time was also 10 lengths quicker than the other chase race on the card. So all in all, that was a really smart performance, I thought, from Not Staying Long. Now, she's won on heavy ground, she's won on good, she's won between 2 mile 3 and a air, I think, novice hurdle over 3 miles on desperate ground. So they've got plenty of places that they could go with her and place her. And off that mark of 100, well, she jumped like an old handicapper, not to mention that it was her debut. So I think she's a really, really talented filly just to keep on side. Very well handicapped filly. I'm not saying she's going to become a star, but she's definitely ahead of her mark. The data tells us that, and I'll be disappointed if she can't follow up under similar circumstances. So Hard Dealt, Not Staying Long, 2 for your tracker this week. Right, let's spin through those races to avoid them. 3 of them this week. We'll start at Catterick on Tuesday with a mare's handicap hurdle won by Wrapped Up in Rubies for Donald McCain with William Maggs on board. Now, we're not going to denigrate that performance. It was a good one. It was a 236-day absence that she was overcoming. She was 20 to 1. She gained 5.5 lengths on her field from her jumping, and her race IQ jump index was 7.8. So solid performance from her, albeit the overall time wasn't particularly good and the circuit time was slower than all the other hurdles on the card. The one that I'm really concerned about really is Apple's Moon, who was handy throughout, was well backed, was coming off the back of a smooth Sedgefield performance on the face of it, but didn't manage to get it done here. And I think there's a reason for that. If you look at the Race IQ jumping stats, she's actually deteriorating. Her jumping is deteriorating as the season wears on. Now, she started off at Warwick, 8.76 she gained there on a field, a Race IQ jump index of 8. But subsequently, Sedgefield, she was minus 1.43. Hereford, she was minus 1.23. That's jumps gained on arrivals. And again on Tuesday, she was 0.15 with a Race IQ jump index of 6.7. So for whatever reason, she perhaps needs to go back to basics and start to regain that hurdling technique, which saw her look quite a progressive horse early on in the season and towards the tail end of last year, when she was getting handicapped. And this was a bit of a disappointing effort from Apple's Moon. So I'll be definitely filing her in the question mark category at the moment. The second race that I think really is quite alarming on the data, and I think was highlighted by course commentator Richard Hoyles, was the race won at Newbury last Wednesday by King Caliphate, who really did benefit from Royce's fall at the last when about 25 lengths clear. Now, there is a chance that if Royce had stood up, he may well be entering the winner's enclosure by the time the second and third were actually passing the post. He was that far clear. It really was a race that you should be very, very wary of. The finishing speed percentage was just 85%, and they were walking. Now, visually, you could see that. You didn't need the Race IQ data to tell you that. But the fact that this horse only gained 1.2 lengths on its rivals, the jump index was 4.4, the circuit time was 12.6 seconds slower than any other circuit time over hurdles on the card. So absolutely alarming stats really, and probably one of the slowest races I've ever seen over hurdles at Newbury. That's not to say that Emma Lavell's charge can't go well in the future. Looks a big chasing type, embryonic chaser in the making, and the cards just fell right for him here. But it really was a slow motion finish, and I think it'd be definitely form that I'd be treading very wary of in the near future. Third and finally, Ascot Saturday, a race that was shown on Sky Sports and ITV, but a Class 2 handicap over 2 miles and 3 furlongs, a 0 to 145, won by Copmask, the very well backed Copmask, who won off a mark of 130. He resumed his rivalry with Scarface, and both of them seem to be in a bad jump off in some respects, because neither of them managed to achieve much on the figures of the Race IQ data anyway. And the overall speed figure was very slow as well. So I just wonder whether, even though Copmask looks to have a progressive profile, just these jumping foibles and tendencies for him not to meet his fences with any great precision and efficiency are just going to catch him out a little bit. That could also be the same for Scarface as well. I think's lost 5.5 lengths, 5.48 lengths, 6.48 lengths, 1.35, and gained 0.12 in his last 5 starts. So jumping is clearly not his forte. I think he needs to probably go back to Plumpton, a small field race there, and that could see Scarface regain the winning thread. But just be very wary of Copmask. Off a revised mark, he's going to be going up in grade here. That was his first win in 5 attempts at Ascot, and I think there's a reason for that. I think he's just lacked a little bit of scope to jump around those big tracks, and he just could be one to be wary of with the 1 next to his name, like a number of the other horses that we've tried to highlight on this feature. Right, enough of looking back. Let's look forward to Boxing Day and our Christmas crackers. Well, I'm sure lots of good judges will have you covered for the Kempton action. Some brilliant fare on offer there, not least the great duel between Constitution Hill and Lossiemouth in the Christmas hurdle. Plenty of runners in a King George as well. We've already got our anti-post bet there on L'Empresse. Hope he runs well with Charlie Deutsch on board. Got a very good record fresh. Let's get to Market Rasen, the less glamorous venue, admittedly, but if we can find a couple of winners there, I don't think I'll be moaning. And we'll start off in the Lincolnshire National with Kelsey. Now, there's a fair few runners going to line up for this race, and quite rightly so. It's quite a prestigious little handicap for Boxing Day. But I really like Kelsey. I liked his last performance. He claimed 17 lengths on his rivals on that occasion and recorded a Race IQ index of 7.8. He's really improved a fair bit with the cheek pieces on. I just love the way that he travelled and effortlessly moved through that handicap. Now, he didn't beat great rivals, that's admitted, but he did clock a very good speed figure, and his circuit time was very positive as well. He fiddled 2 out, but absolutely flew the last. And what I liked about him was that he gained 1.8 lengths at the last, Nothing admittedly 2 out when he fiddled it, but 4.43 3 out and 2.39 4 out, which means that he was jumping well with great efficiency in the closing stages of that race, and that will stand him in really good stead as he steps up in trip here to tackle the 3 mile, 3.5 furlongs. So Neil Mulholland with Kelsey in the 147 at Market Rasen. That's the first of my Christmas crackers, hopefully. Then the last race on the card, handicap hurdle, and I like Gilbertina here, this mare trained by Nick Kent. Now she's got a great record at Market Rasen. She's got a great record in December as well, and she finished second last time out in a race that's working out very, very well. The first, the third, the fourth have all won since. If you look at her Market Rasen data as well, second, fourth, first, fourth, second, first, 8th and 2nd. So very, very consistent around the Lincolnshire venue. I think she'll go well in the 332 for Nick Kent and Tom Broughton. So there's 2 selections for you, the Christmas crackers. Hopefully we get a bit of an explosion there with Kelsey in the 147, the Lincolnshire National, and in the 332, Gilbertina. All that remains is for me to wish you all a very happy Christmas, a peaceful new year. Enjoy the fair over Boxing Day and beyond. I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.